And welcome back, and it is the higher plus 20th of March, 5 a day, and let's just go straight to the first question. And we've got an equation, and the equation is draw the circle. Well, it helps us tremendously by telling us it's a circle, although we should know that anyway. At GCSE, further maths, you do shift the circle, but GCSE, we know the origin is 0, 0. So really the question here is, what is the radius of this circle? Now, because the radius is r squared, in other words, this is r squared, the radius of my circle is going to be 4. So it's basically saying, can you just draw a circle with a centre 4? So I'm going to clearly mark these points here, and then, albeit on an iPad screen, I'm going to try and draw the best circle I can. Now, if you're doing this in a GCSE, this is probably marked by using an overlay, which the examiner uses to look at what you've drawn. So as much as you can, compass out, try and do a very good job of this, because it may be the difference between a mark or 2 marks. Anyway, it's a circle, origin 0, radius 4. Next question. And actually the next question, I'm presuming is on the same thing, is draw this shape here. Now, it's not sketch. So sketch means just draw an appropriately shaped graph. It's actually draw. So I'm going to put a couple of values in. So let's say my x values are going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, or 1 over x. So 1 over x, in other words, the y values are going to be 1 over 1 is 1, 1 over 2 is a half, 1 over 3 is a third. You can see where I'm going with this. However, there's 1 here as well, isn't there? If I sketch x half, well, that's going to go to 1 over 2 is 2, and that gives me 2. So let's plot some of these points. So a half goes against 2, so a half is very roughly here and goes against 2. 1 goes against 1, 2 goes against a half, 3 goes against a third. I mean, this won't be super accurate, it'll be close enough, and then a sixth. And then if I did a quarter, that would be 4, so a quarter is somewhere around here. And then I've got this shape that looks like this. In other words, I'm trying to reflect how the two lines meet together. I will do a very similar thing on the bottom left axis. So 1 goes against 1, 2 goes against a half, 4 goes against a quarter. And again, it doesn't matter to, if I was in an exam, I'd be doing a really good job of plotting some of these points out. But either way, I get this general shape here. I've plotted a few points, I've shown willing in trying to do it properly, and I'm relatively happy with that. I won't say that's brilliant, but it's close enough to give a guide as to what we're doing. Next question. Okay, circle theorems question. So we have some angles given in terms of x, and it says find x and find y. I'm trying to think of the easiest way of doing this without having to do a lot of algebra. I guess the easiest way of doing it is I'm going to look at this one here, and I know this one, because it halves quite nicely, is half of 6x minus 44, which is 3x minus 22. And I know, because this is a cyclic quadrilateral, that 3x minus 22, i.e. this angle here, plus this angle here, which is 7x plus 2, well, that equals 180. So collect my x's, so therefore 10x, 22 negative plus 2 is minus 20, is equal to 180. 10x is equal to 200, which means that x is equal to a nice round 20 degrees. First part done. Find y. Well, y is here, so actually I'm going to use this point here and just say that y is equal to 360 minus 6x, minus is a plus 44. And I know x is 20, so that's going to be 360 minus 6 times 20, which is 120, and plus 44. Now, in the exam, if you have a calculator out, let's not make a silly mistake here, but 360 minus 120 is going to give me 240, add 144 is going to give me 284. Question done. Not a bad question, actually, that one, a sort of nice put together question. Next, and actually final question today, solve, and then it gives me a quadratic, but it tells me what to do. So I must use this method because it tells me to use this method. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to complete the square. So halve the 8, which gives me 4. So that's going to be x plus 4 all squared. Take away the 4 squared that I don't want, and take away the 2, which is this take away 2 here, and all that's equal to 0. Which means that x plus 4 all squared is equal to, well, minus 16 minus 2 is minus 18. So add 18 to both sides. And then I'm going to go over to here, square root both sides. So x plus 4 is equal to the square root of 18. But the thing is, I don't know if it's a plus or a minus. So I'm going to have to use plus or minus root 18, which means that x is equal to minus 4 plus or minus the square root of 18. Now, because it's a GCSE, it'll make it clear what it wants you to do, but just to play it safe, you'd be okay with this at A level, but I would give both solutions. So minus 4 plus root 18 and minus 4 minus root 18. Question done. And actually today done. That was a fairly quick day, wasn't it? So the graphing took us a bit of time, bit of messing around with the circle themes in the middle, but actually a good sort of mix of questions today. As ever, let me know how you did. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks all.